Nice. That fucked.
Yeah, that was good.
That was cool. Hell yeah, dude. All right. Shit. Hey, by the way, Jacob, I want you to come up first. I know you. I know you're not. I don't even know if you were planning on it, but you said something in the chat about Kathy O'Brien. You said you had some stuff on it, so even just for a moment. Also, I guess a little introduction. You kind of already. I wasn't sure what your position was on if you wanted to be known or not. But you did. Sure. I just saw you posted just a minute ago when I was looking. I was like, oh well, fuck it. You just may as well. You just did it yourself, so I don't. May as well. This is the new producer. Once again, I do really want to emphasize thanks to Jules for all the time. I know. I don't know. Just want to make sure no one gets any bad ideas or anything. He did help out during a period of time to where filled in. We knew from the beginning he's not a huge tech guy. I mean, I'm not a big tech guy either, so but just need some help, and he filled in that slot. So now we got Jacob, who's a little bit more tech savvy. He's also got some of the tech stuff, so that's why we might be able to actually get some calls and stuff going on. So
yes, sir.
I just want to make sure there's no bad feelings out there anyways. I love Jules. I listen to every one of his Elohim etymologies. I'm really into that weird in that Sumerian fucking Nephilim shit stuff. So yeah, just want to be clear. I do make jokes, and I am an irreverent person. We didn't literally. It wasn't. There was nothing. There was no hard feelings or anything. I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. But yeah, we have Jacob here, so that way you guys can also know to keep an eye on his Twitter account, because that's also one more spot where I guess he will be dropping the link probably fairly regularly. So, and I guess he's kind of the point guy if you have any sort of questions or if you want to get on the show to talk about this or that, because likely I think the format going forward will probably be, hey, he'll be screening stuff behind the scenes, and like obviously patrons get some sort of level of priority for paying, but for the most part, hey, what do you got to say? If your shit's boring, well, sorry, go to the back of the pack.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, so or if you have some dumb shit, like you're just going to scream the N-word a bunch. If you're going to say N-word, like at least just once and make it classy, okay? That's the only rule. If you can't make it classy, you're not allowed. You're banned for life. I know it's a hard task, but it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, at least make it entertaining. I mean, everyone's heard it screamed on a show or whatever, but at least make it fun if you're going to come on and do that, you know?
I mean, it's not that kind of show, just to be clear. This isn't the N-word show. I love saying it every time. It's just a fun thought, you know. You're like, you hear it, just a fun word. You know, like I know it's not even racial. My wife I called somebody that today. In the when I was driving, and my wife's like, "He's white." I'm like, "Yeah, so." Like that's not what I said.
It's a way you act. It's not a skin color.
So yeah, if everything you're racist, honey.
Why do they only have to be black?
Yeah. So, but anyways, I don't know if you want to introduce yourselves. You introduce yourself. You do have a show, so I mean, you'll also probably be some sort of fill-in host with today, like days like I probably should have done today where I was sick, but I feel like I'd taken too many days recently, so figured to tough this one out. But yeah, he will be if Austin has some sort of engagement or I do. Jake will probably be filling in as the co-host role occasionally here and there. But yeah, anyways, I'm go ahead, bud.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, my name's Jacob. I host a show, Rise to Liberty. I used to initially cover third-party politics, but that shit's gay. So I moved to important things, and I kind of flow along with the two of these fine gentlemen, you know, parapolitics research. And I have a specific focus on MK Ultra and mind control. I mean, you can check me out on other shows as well. I just did Operation GCD with JJ, which was great. Just went on William Ramsey's show and stuff. But yeah, I mean, you can find me pretty much anywhere, Rise to Liberty. And so that's just kind of why it seemed like it was a good fit, you know, me coming on the show. I already kind of do this stuff for myself, but I'm in the same vein as everything. And yeah, definitely no stepping on toes. That was you know, my big thing coming on as a producer. You know, Jules is a homie, straight up.
Yeah.
So,
hell yeah. No, he's a shit. I mean, if anything, I think this will be good. He'll be able to focus on his content. Because let's be real, he was never trying to fill a role of being the tech guy. I mean, it's fine. That's what we're trying to stick a square knob into in a circle, but or whatever the fuck the expression is there. But like, it's fine. It was what we needed for the time being, and we appreciate him filling in the gap. because this is a show that is helpful to have a third person. And the whole reason for third person too is because I wanted to build up and kind of build out this the call-in thing of it too, which and let's be real, I think Jules kind of knew he wasn't ever going to be the debt guy there. So, but
Right.
yeah,
So
I do
next
wish
week
him good luck in what he's doing. So I just want to be very, very clear.
Sure. For sure. And next week, probably the calls, but very like for positive the following week. We should be able to get that up and rolling. So probably, have a little transition period, might have to work out some bugs here and there, but I would say 2 weeks at most, and those should be up and rolling.
Okay.
So,
Kathy O'Brien, is she fed or what?
Okay, so I can't really say who I got this from because I don't know if they wanted me to say anything or not. But and then this is also third hand at this point, right?
So super reliable. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. An anonymous source told me.
Run with it, guys.
So basically, Mark Phillips, was an agent. And there's no such thing as like retired or X, or there's no such thing as X, but you can be retired. And so they basically, from what I understand, kind of turned her into like a disinfo agent. So like 95, 98% of everything she says is true. And even I would say like 90% of everything from her experiences are true, but there is just enough in there to throw people off. And that's basically the word that I got.
Aren't they like a thing, or they were a thing, like a romantic thing?
Before he passed.
Okay. So, I wonder if I
think they were,
there's so much to work with there. Cause it's just funny. It makes me think of, I don't know if you guys do this. I think we're all married. I'll admit, will gaslight my wife. She knows I do it. It's fun. So I'll just like pick a thing and gaslight him. So I'm like, did they just have like a genuine romance and just like he's just gaslighting her with like bullshit fucking SRA shit the entire time?
It's
just having fun with it.
Possible. I just have a feeling that he was, because they weren't gonna let her go. Like they don't want to let their assets go, especially if they're going to be a good asset. And look at how she was able to move so openly and be able to spill so many beans. Because like a lot of what we know about the Manchurian candidates now is because of her.
So what was that public forum when she gave that very famous statement, right? Where she's explaining kind of in a long form venue, basically it was like a public service announcement. Essentially, this is the abuse that I experienced and endured, and this is essentially the sort of threat, diabolical threat being posed to modern society at large, utilizing these very methods of strategically targeting and prioritizing children, and then utilizing them in these sort of human honeypot, compromised sexual blackmail operations, which makes sense. We just described the background of that child, who was effectively drawn into Sidney Gottlieb's network back in the 50s, for that very purpose, and to just that to me is just crazy, man. Like you reading about the alleged pedophile academy, like just as far as to have such, again, just advanced measures in place. I think that's what's so extraordinary about all of this is that Mullen herself in an interview claimed that the CIA kept hotel rooms, which we clearly know that's a fact, and two of the best hotel rooms in New Orleans apparently, and apparently this was year round. They would keep these suites, and was unique in that it had 2 bedrooms. This is an interview that she gives where she claims that, this is so fascinating. Again, it's a testimony that Claudia Mullen is giving about an event that took place in 1959. And she says, I was sent to a place in Maryland called Deep Creek Cabins to learn how to, quote, sexually please men. Also, I was taught how to coerce them into talking about themselves. It was Richard Helms who who was deputy director of the CIA, Dr. Gottlieb, Captain George White, and Morse Allen, who all planned on filming as many high government and agency officials and heads of academic institutions and foundations as possible. So that later, when the funding for mind control and radiation started to dwindle, projects would continue. I was used to entrap many unwitting men, including themselves, all with the use of a hidden camera. I was only 9 years old when this kind of sexual humiliation began. And then in a follow-up interview, this is when she refers to the suites and the hotel rooms and the hidden cameras, and that she was actually shown the hidden cameras by 3 men who handled that part of the operation, which plays into, wasn't it Maria Farmer? Which was the individual Epstein victim? I have the note somewhere. I'll find it in a minute.
Maria Farmer definitely said things about cameras.
She said that.
So
She said that she was shown.
I thought Jeffrey did too. I thought, but go on.
She did.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'll pull it in a moment because I legitimately have the note on a note card somewhere around here.
This sounds exactly like the Grand America, which Trump owns, and which was the same place where they got J. Edgar Hoover's blackmail that Roy Cohn was so proud of.
The blue sweet parties, man.
Exactly. This sounds exactly like the same thing. And also, I mean, it's very reminiscent of Operation Midnight Climax.
Exactly.
I kept thinking of that. I was trying to think of the name of it. Midnight Climax. There you go.
Dulce and the Johns and the two-way mirrors, and then the prostitutes would just like dip out, and they would just watch this dude on a heaven and hell journey once again, right? But
check this out real quick. It's the people that they were testing on for Midnight Climax was not the Johns. It was the prostitutes. They were testing the prostitutes because think about it, in such a short time, you cannot create a Manchurian candidate for a guy that would just get picked up one night and then he's gone the next day. That's way too quick. But these were repeat prostitutes showing up. So they were actually testing the prostitutes to try and get them to be trained as Manchurian candidates.
So that makes sense. Split personality spies, my brother. You can always utilize a good prostitute. Am I right? Like
that speech you were talking about for Kathy, that was actually a Ted Gunderson speech. That was an event he put on.
Okay, I just wasn't sure where that event was held because it was like at some sort of public.
I think it was in Virginia.
Okay,
I could be wrong.
I'd be really interested if you were able to talk to I'd be really curious if they're like, I don't know, maybe strippers or high level strippers or maybe people in management or different, or even prostitutes. I mean, you'd probably have a harder time getting a prostitute on the phone, but I'd be interested to hear their takes on those. Because I'd be interested. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if prostitutes or maybe at least some of the nicer ones, or actually some of the nicer and probably some of the seedier joints so far as strip joints. I wouldn't be surprised if they have mechanisms of some sort in place to be like, oh, so-and-so was here, this, that, I don't know how that information would travel, but that would be an interesting thing. Like, are there regular hooker contacts? I don't know, it'd just be an interesting thing. I would think it would almost be borderline institutionalized in like a strip club level. You could probably... I don't know. Maybe like it might even be. Wouldn't even be surprised if they have like certain practices in place that they don't even really think about. That like, that means that.
They definitely do, man. That's why I think the organized crime footprint is involved with owning the strip clubs, and essentially you have primary strip club locations that are obviously compromised in that framework, running sort of this coexisting operation with the intelligence apparatus, right, and essentially. That is what they effectively become, this sort of avenue for this operation to be facilitated, and that's I think again long-standing. You look at the Columbia Plaza operation. What the hell was that? Joseph Nesline was the local mob figure who was deeply embedded with intelligence and running I mean, the fact that Heidi Reichen claims the CIA was granting them protection in that operation alone, beyond the obvious connection to, Joe Nesline and everyone involved in the JFK assassination with the organized crime footprint there. And so, again, it's not shocking to me. And why on earth would they do away with some very efficient and effective strategy in place? They would clearly hope to continually, flex and exercise this option, right, as as a definitely at least a strategic conveyance for the operational standpoint of how you would have individual compromised assets in place. And that's why when I looked at this and the final note on what I found so fascinating about Claudia
Real quick,
Muller.
I don't want to let that sit, because I do think that's an interesting point, and I think especially young men, you should probably think of that, because especially maybe not so much maybe for us like when we were younger men or whatever but especially now in this total surveillance landscape that we have now, where we're kind of like the end of Whitney Webb's book, kind of going into like the Peter Thiel world, and how it's like everything's documented. I mean, you very well could, as some 18-year-old, fucking do some crazy shit in some strip club or this or that, and that could come back to haunt you 10 years later or whatever. So it's kind of these unthinking things that you don't even think about. Like, there's no way, and you're like, yes way. Like, people know some shit. You think that they don't, but there's a fucking eye in the sky that's watching your ass.
Well, could you think about it too, like being like a young like congressional aide or something in DC and going to a strip club there?
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, that would be the worst idea ever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
all right.
Look who we have.
All right, Jacob, let's boot you. Appreciate your info on Kathy. What's up? We're getting rid of one JJ and bringing on another. What is up, JJ Vance?
It's a JJ party here tonight. Greetings, Jets.
I had to fix that. That was bothering me.
How you doing, JJ?
Excellent. How you fellas doing?
Good. You're repping that. Was it the Mexican flag you got going there? I think, or something.
Right. I got all sorts of colors going.
What are your thoughts? Thoughts on Kathy Bryan?
It's an interesting subject. I agree with my fellow JJ there. Jacob had a good analysis that anytime you're having a controlled opposition, they're going to have 90% of the right, true facts, some objective facts for you to sell you down a primrose path, so to speak, leading you down a false path with a false narrative there. So I think we see that a lot with Kathy O'Brien and the other characters running around old laser tag Ted there. Ted Gunderson.
Yeah.
Like Bryce Taylor.
Yeah. All right. God, what was I going to say?
AKA Susan Ford, and she's still alive today. She ain't said anything in the last 25 years or so, but 22 years.
Interesting. Did you I gotta share this. I have to show you guys this. Hold on. Look at this. So I tried to highlight the only important portion, but I found it very strange that you had the individual perpetrator in the Minneapolis mass shooting, right? Apparently, he also not only has a glowing father who has strange connections to at least DoD CIA contracts, being obviously just as far as the Esri connection there with 29 years being employed with this contractor, but you also have this uncle apparently connecting to the perpetrator, which I found this interesting. And again, I was talking to Jose when he called me earlier, and I thought the first thing I thought, just in terms of the context and the strange sort of message that is attached by the individual uncle, it reminded me of Uncle Ruslan Tsarnaev, right? Who's trying to kind of like distance himself from the Tamerlane and Zahar, like following the Boston Marathon bombings, and is really the only member of the family that kind of like speaks out of turn and essentially is shouting at the rooftops, trying to damage and sort of like undermine the character of the individual, just his nephews, right? And still, this is crazy to me that obviously you have Robin Westman's uncle. He happens to be a former GOP lawmaker and Kentucky lawmaker.
He was a Kentucky, and he was in the Kentucky House of Representatives from 1980 to 2003.
Right.
He was in the 33rd district.
I haven't looked that far into this guy yet. That's fascinating.
The 33rd district, and
Republican Party.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the point. And again,
in pro-Troon, which is weird.
That's what I'm saying. Damn it! I'm trying to get to the point.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. So I'm sorry. I like to try and stage things. I think it's important to pull the trigger on smoking guns. But anyway, the whole point is that clearly you have a right-wing Republican who, with long-standing ties as a lawmaker, who apparently is not only overly dramatic when he reacts in public and attempts to distance himself from his own nephew, but he also happens to be very much in favor of the trans movement, right? And effectively, this is very strange to me, considering his obviously his political background and being a Kentucky Republican that has been pro-transgender for quite some time, and also has been, as it says here, I thought this was hilarious, the way that he put it in context. He said that he wished he had shot me instead of the innocent school children. But the way that he kind of said it was again, I feel like it's just overly dramatic, and it's the nature of politics. But yeah, so this guy happens to also claim that he barely saw his nephew. Last time he actually saw him was at a family wedding 3 or 4 years ago. And then also he apparently has been behind pushing and fighting back against legislation banning gender-affirming care for minors, which again just plays into the political nature of this event in itself. And so I thought it was kind of important. And he goes on to make another dramatic statement. As the measure made its way through the Kentucky State Legislature, Helleringer, I don't know, ran ads asking whether the GOP worked for years to gain legislative majorities just to wage an all-out war against defenseless transgender children. Wow, what a bad look for the party of Abraham Lincoln, he declared. So again, this is
what a weird thing to say about trannies,
right?
That's very strange.
You have fucking Abraham Lincoln be so upset about this,
right? I don't think he would be. Well, who knows though? He was like sucking dick, right?
I feel like he would. I feel like he'd be deeply closeted about it, though. He'd be like, "No, we can't do that. None of that faggoty shit."
I'm pretty sure that's what was the name of Abe Lincoln's wife? I always forget, but she was she was basically his beard. She was kind of strange, her background and looking into the details of her specifically. But again, it's like, though I found that very fascinating, right? That you had the sort of additional political context with another family member, kind of I don't know, that's far too prominent of a political role of a direct family member to kind of play and have fulfilled for far too long, considering everything else.
That is a pattern at time after time, right? Because you mentioned the Tsarnaev brothers, and their uncle was married to the daughter of one of the chief of operations for the CIA, I believe the chief of operations for the Eastern Bloc. So that's interesting.
Abraham Lincoln and his homie.
Daniel Day-Lewis, dude. That's so
and then when you got the Omar Mateen situation, his father was deeply involved in politics of the Islamic nature.
Omar Mateen, wasn't he the one who was working for fucking some weird glowy ass security guard company or some shit?
G4S.
Yeah, G4S.
I didn't think it was directly Wackenhut. I thought it was some sort of weird carve out connection or some shit.
They had to rebrand. Wackenhut had a bad name, so they call themselves G4S now. It's the same corporation.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like Blackwater, and then they're like, "Oh no, we're Z," and then now they're just a noise. I think.
Yeah, exactly. And what did the senator from Minnesota, along with a lot of other, obviously, politicians, calling for stricter gun laws and banning assault rifles, basically off the back of this as well. And
always, right? Those Soros-funded politicians up there, like Jacob Fry, the mayor, Keith Ellison, the attorney general and former head of the DNC. A lot of weird stuff going on in Minnesota. We haven't really heard much of that Vance Boatler situation, and I, for one, I'm still upset about that. If you're going to run around this world with the name Vance, you better hit your target. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. I saw Melania. She came out and actually she had a statement on this shooting. And I was like, it fit very well with the sort of dystopian pretext of
or anti. What was it?
So basically she says, it's strange. So she says, Melania Trump, first of all, calls for preemptive intervention. All right. And so it fits very well with the dystopian pretext of the Gideon AI threat detection platform for law enforcement and basically this Minority Report style predictive policing that individual former Mossad, right, who's working in the private sector and
AI implemented red flags. That's what you're saying.
yeah, dude.
Yep.
I mean, legitimately, you're having like Gideon is an AI threat detection platform, and this is again pre-crime policing, right? But then you have
I speak Melania. That's what this is.
but yet she says then she uses the shooting as basically to call for this preemptive intervention to identify potential school shooters. Now this is crazy if you also pair that with this insane story about the Pentagon document, right, about essentially the U.S. wanting to utilize AI propaganda to suppress dissenting voices. Yeah, dude, this is crazy. But again, like consider what Melania is calling for in her statement. She says, early warning signs are often evident with many individuals. Now, she didn't say any of this, right? This was all carefully crafted for her to present.
Like a tweet. Public. This is a statement, or was it a verbal
what patterns
statement?
are they using to identify these things? I mean, this is kind of ridiculous on its face, right?
Dude, exactly.
The AI knows all, JJ. Okay.
Those transgender Zizzy and cult death culters that are programming AI, those rationalists.
Yeah,
they're going to tell us. They're going to tell us how to identify a trans school shooter. I bet.
Yeah,
right?
The technocratic transhumanists, man. They're going to save us. And but yeah, so she says, early warning signs are often evident with many individuals exhibiting concerning behaviors and making violent threats online prior to the actions. Now, to prevent future tragedies, it is crucial we look into behavioral threat assessments across all levels of society, beginning in our homes, extending through school districts, and of course, social media platforms. That goes without saying. So being aware of these warning signs and acting quickly can save lives and make American communities safer. That alone is I think very revealing. And again, if you consider, not only do you have this strange call for the suppression of dissenting opinions, utilizing an AI sort of threat detection software, you also have, and this is how that article begins. It essentially explains how the U.S. hopes to use machine learning to create and distribute propaganda overseas in a bid to influence foreign target audiences and, quote, suppress dissenting arguments, according to a U.S. Special Operations Command document reviewed by The Intercept. So the document, a sort of special operations wish list of near-future military technology, reveals new details about a broad variety of capabilities that SOCOM hopes to purchase within the next 5 to 7 years, including state-of-the-art cameras, sensors, directed energy weapons, and other gadgets to help operators find and kill their quarry. Among the tech it wants to procure is machine learning software that can be used for information warfare. There you go. I mean, they're legitimately telling us what they hope to achieve utilizing these, what does it say? Provide a capability leveraging agentic AI or multi-LLM agent systems with specialized roles to increase the scale of influence operations. That's what it is. Military information support operations and advanced technology augmentations. I mean, that is what they're bolstering allegedly in this context. And so this, to me, keep your head on a swivel, man. PSYOPs season all day long, right?
Like I'd love to see this backfire though, and they start getting like politicians fucking popped and shit. Because I can totally see. Because it is funny how that is. I've noticed that with like say with Grok, there's been multiple times where it's like the code makers are the problem, but like the AI actually weirdly seems to want to rebel to do the right thing. So I don't know. Hopefully we can see that in the future. That'd be pretty cool if we get some. Get some politicians red flagged. I know if the robots line them up against the wall. I mean, it wasn't me that did it. It was AI. What can I say?
Right.
So, oh no! First they came for the politicians, and then no one gave a fuck.
Dude, but I mean,
one can only dream, right?
Yeah, right.
You consider that though being paired with like the videos that I'm seeing online, like surface coming out of the UK. I mean, you're talking just like wearing a shirt of a pro-Palestinian rights organization, and they're apprehending you on the sidewalk for violating some sort of dystopian freedom of speech right. It's honestly, it's fascinating to witness, right, what they're sort of cracking down on, and to what level. It seems to be extremely authoritarian, and I think what's happening in the UK is just sort of right around the corner in the West, and so it's just another type of situation where I think we're being conditioned, and again, it's like you see this individual, that story of Graham Linehan, is that his name, right? I don't know exactly how to pronounce his last name,
so,
but who's arrested at Heathrow for gender critical posts, right?
Yeah.
And this is in the UK, and again,
What a bigot! Let's fry him.
Right. But it's so crazy to actually see that hold on, let me pull what he actually tweeted that got him, because this is straight up a sort of totalitarian police state in a certain sense, if you're not allowed to speak.
But by the way, Austin, I'm gonna go. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna do this. I don't want to fuck up the flow, but I'm gonna let Jacob, if you're cool, that sit in for me. I'm gonna go ahead and bounce. I'm sorry if I was a drain, but I was feeling sick today. I told you guys I was gonna leave, but I don't want the show to stop, and we have a good guest right now, and we got Jacob, so why not? If you guys want to support the show, give me a like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. Patreon, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Sorry, sponsors. I know I normally give you a shout out. I'm not going to do that right now because I'd really fuck up the flow if I gave a long laundry list of sponsors. I'll read you off on the morning dump tomorrow. But sorry, I'm sick. I'll try to do a better job on the morning dump tomorrow and get some good sleep. But Jacob, take my spot. I'll see you all tomorrow. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
You, brother. All right, yeah. I mean,
I think what you're describing, Austin, is already kind of being in play overseas, and it's one of those matters where the powers that be, this national security deep state business, test these matters overseas, whether it's Operation Gladio, whether it's Phoenix Program, whether it's Air America,
right.
The Trump administration, the first time, set up a global war on terrorism, thought crime, police state, AI business, surveillance state operations center out of Saudi Arabia, I believe in Riyadh, back in 2017, using the Peter Thiel AI software.
Of course. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah, they all put their hands on this big globe, this shiny globe that was lit up. It looked very ritualistic.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if that was directly involved as far as the occult factor. But I say we keep it going for I don't know. I can do at most another 15 to 30 minutes because I got to go do whatever this is, I guess, tonight as well. So, but for now, I do think we have a couple of other additional things that we can for sure cover. And I had intended to at least mention in regard to just this specific context of this individual being arrested, right? So he had allegedly said 3 gender critical tweets were a part of this, right? For that obviously played into his apparent arrest. And so this is just as he landed right in the UK as well. He gets apprehended at the airport, I believe is how it happened. And essentially he says this in a Substack as well. And he says, in a country where pedophiles escape sentencing, where knife crime is out of control, where women are assaulted and harassed every time they gather to speak, the state had mobilized 5 armed officers to arrest a comedy writer. And he says essentially that I just felt like his reaction to it, obviously, I think it's important to at least address the fact. But again, what are the specific tweets that he's allegedly being, just as far as he's being sort of charged for, right? Obviously, in this context, I think it's clearly precedent setting in a certain sense, as far as just, once again, we're seeing the consequences play out of the crackdown on freedom of speech on social media, right? And I think that all is just coming off of the back of the anti-Semitism precedent setting operation of utilizing it as a justification for that very purpose, right? It's ridiculous to me.
So what's the deal with this Minnesota shooter? As far as I haven't got a chance to look into it too deep, but it's my understanding there's some 09 angles, order of 9 angles, and 764 connections.
That's the claim, but when I go in, and honestly, there was a specific profile they tried to link to the individual where they claimed that was essentially evidence of him being influenced by that very network, right? But
Sure.
it's pretty loose as far as the evidentiary claims that provide any sort of smoking gun sense of beyond the I think more than anything, it was really just like some of the symbolic natures of the just the symbolic nature of the sort of like if you see that strange symbol that he used that was obviously used by Robert Crimo in the 4th of July shooting, right, in Parkland.
That's what I was going to say. I did notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what more than anything kind of, I think, appeals to me more than even the 764 influence, because honestly, I do think it plays a vital role. I think that it's a radicalization pipeline that was effectively propped up and set up by the feds, but essentially,
Absolutely.
You know,
It seems like a continuation of the same old satanic serial killers Phoenix program come home business, right?
that's how I feel.
The next evolution, it's the internet age of that, right?
Right. And that's why I think that once you see that basically serial killers just disappeared around statistically in a sort of way, just in time for the surfacing of this new modern mass shooting phenomena, right? That is now oversaturating the current political environment. I think that there's no way,
because they perfected it, right? So that they were able to perfect what they were doing with serial killers, and now they're able to do it like remotely. They don't even have to.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Or anything.
Exactly.
And so now, I mean, if they want to create a serial killer, they can, but it's a lot more effective currently with the current climate to be able to create school shooters, mass shooters, whatever.
Dude,
for sure.
Agreed.
And there's a definitive link in numerous cases I've discovered that between this neo-Satanism, what you want to call it, neo-process, this 09A stuff, and the smiley face killers. And the trans persons. So there are multiple instances. I have examples of trans folks, neo-Satanism, of this, very militant angles of, again, this was the design though from moment one. I saw something in the chat about having a drink every time I mentioned Muppet Mikey Aquino, everyone's favorite U.S. Army Psychological Operations Special Forces officer. And again, I would dispute that doughy bastard passed 0 physical fitness exams for special forces,
right?
Yet wore the Green Beret anyway. But you see,
that's too funny.
Regarding those matters, he set up the Church of Satan and Temple of Set have these sects or cells or cults of this werewolf and vampire LARPers, and the werewolf specifically is designed after the werewolf Nazi guerrilla warfare units of these stay behind networks of a Gladio style campaign. So this is baked into their culture and philosophy.
Exactly. I think you're spot on in that analysis, honestly, and that's why I believe this is just modern Gladio strategy of tension. Completely just being. It's sort of the domestic destabilization techniques that they have always attempted to utilize, right, to usher through this dystopian context as far as the agenda playing out.
Sure.
And that's why. I mean, I just covered this with Chris on Forbidden Knowledge News the other day, as far as I discovered in the artichoke documents, right? Like you talk about triggering remote Manchurians. I mean, what the fuck? The outline of special H cases. This is January 7th, 1953. And this is what they claim to have been capable of. In all of these cases, these subjects have clearly demonstrated that they can pass from a fully awake state to a deep H-controlled state via the telephone, via some very subtle signal that cannot be detected by other persons in the room and without the other individual being able to note the change. It has been shown clearly that physically individuals can be induced into H by telephone, by receiving written matter, or by the use of code, signals, or word, and that control of those hypnotized can be passed from one individual to another without great difficulty. It has also been shown by experimentation with these girls that they can act as unwilling couriers for information purposes, and that they can be conditioned to a point where they can believe a change in identity on their part, even on the polygraph. And this is as far as like in regard to There's another H experimentation document as well from 1953 and 1954, which in the context of these artichoke documents that discusses the creation of hypnotized subjects who respond to triggers and who are willing to shoot people when they ordinarily wouldn't. So again, you're just playing perfectly into the Manchurian Candidate program, which also, what is that? I always forget it's kind of insane to actually read through all the sub-project names, right? Like just as far as hold on, let me find it. It's hilarious. Spellbinder. That was the name.
I mean, you're making some good points. There's a lot of occultism in those programs. Yes, sir, for sure. We have examples of satanic serial killers dating back to that era that were known CIA operatives, and such as Edward Wayne Edwards.
Yes, sir.
Edward Wayne Edwards.
One of the most prolific serial killers in American history, if not the most. Friend of Charles Manson since 1952, when they met in the Chillicothe Federal Reformatory on a mound in Chillicothe, Ohio. Otis Toole would come in there the next year. He would cross over with Charlie there. And then 10 years after that, Thomas Eugene Creech would be at that same reformatory.
You know, they said that that is legitimately where Chillicothe, isn't that how it's pronounced? Chillicothe?
Chillicothe, sir.
Chillicothe, okay. Well, I know that while Charles Manson was incarcerated there, apparently, that's where he basically was taught and trained in the effective mind control techniques, including hypnosis. Apparently,
absolutely. I'm convinced there's a CIA program that's been operating out of there, possibly still to this day.
That makes sense. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
Real quick, I wanted to highlight this: a remote long range and long volume mind control device has been unveiled in South Korea with plans to use the tech for non-invasive medical procedures. Research with Korea's Institute for Basic Science developed the hardware which manipulates the brain from a distance using magnetic fields, and tested the tech by introducing maternal instincts in their female test subjects, mice. In another test, they exposed a test group of lab mice to magnetic fields designed to reduce appetite, leading to a 10% loss in body weight, or about 4.3 grams. This is the world's first technology to freely control specific brain regions using magnetic fields.
I like that claim. That's a fancy claim, right? The first, right? I doubt
right.
it. But.
Yeah, that was very sweet.
Cute of them to do. First one that they're willing to admit to.
Right.
I mean, Jose Delgado's been working on this since.
There you go. Since the 50s, I believe, sir. And Andrea Puharich of the famed, infamous, alien seance, amongst other things, and SRI, et cetera, et cetera. Yuri Geller's handler, by his own admission. He patented a voice to skull little device for the ear hole there, a little an early proto hearing aid where he could transmit for radio signals to the device. So if you want to see how they were doing alien seances there, look no further than that, because I believe he patented that in 1949.
Jeez. Right.
I gotta run grab some coffee. I'll be right back.
So
let me describe. I'm sorry, Jacob.
No, you're good.
When I get back, whenever there is an opening, I just want to. One of the last things I hope to prioritize was just that. Remember, we were talking last week, I think it was, privately in the post show, just about that strange connection to the farm, and essentially also that extraordinary claim of this interesting connection to what was described as this sort of, what was it, a pedophile. It was basically a pedophile training camp, essentially, is what it really was. Right. But essentially that was the main point. So. But yeah, I'll be right back.
They prefer wood chipper volunteers, not pedophiles. But I see what you're saying.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I haven't looked into this Minnesota situation further. I am interested because, again, it seems to be the ongoing, like we're saying, the ongoing Phoenix program come home satanic serial killer business, and we see that issue up there in northern Idaho, back there, early or late June. The anniversary of the Aryan Nation's bankruptcy case, when they went bankrupt, shortly before the whole place burnt down by the local fire department. And then on the anniversary of the bankruptcy, we see the fire department getting assaulted by not that just that young man they put it on. Obviously, they said he shot him with a shotgun. I've listened to that radio communications. There's numerous points of gunfire, and it ain't a shotgun.
Right.
So that child's father, though, was an outlaw biker gang, Church of Satan member, werewolf LARPer.
Yes,
so he LARPs as a werewolf as part of these werewolf sects of the Satanism. So,
right.
And again, that's what those sects were designed for by Aquino's own admission. So folks in the chat can drink another one there. Because that's what he said. He's modeling it after these, the concept of which this werewolf concept or branch of Church of Satan and Temple of Set, it was based upon the concept of these Nazi guerrilla stay behind units.
Right.
So we see that even being exhibited by the son of this man who's part of that network of activity.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. Didn't he end up spending time in prison?
His father?
Yeah.
His father's an interesting man. He grew up in Scientology in Riverside. His cousin's listed in a Scientology lawsuit in a Riverside School of Scientology, financed by Adnan Khashoggi's wife.
Interesting. Interesting how they always show up, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Shocker. Right. Shocker.
Yeah.
Corporate Satanism rearing its ugly head.
Always. Oh, it's crazy.
Not surprised.
The whole family, his whole paternal family Scientology. So
who's that?
They're an interesting bunch. This would have been the Northern Idaho firefighter shooter who allegedly attacked the firefighters who burnt down the fire departments that burnt down the Aryan Nation on the anniversary of the bankruptcy of the Aryan Nation.
Right. Yeah, I forgot already.
His father's a werewolf LARPing, literally a werewolf LARPing Satanist. He dresses in a werewolf costume when he rides his motorcycle. He's an outlaw biker guy, Church of Satan guy, and he's got, he's got a number of Nazi tattoos, including 1488 across his knuckles, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah, I remember that was just so clearly obvious. Like, and then what was it? The anniversary of that ridiculous Aryan Nation, a sort of catastrophic event that they used as sort of what was it? I can't remember now. The Aryan Inferno. I can't recall exactly what they called it, but it was essentially when the feds came in and like absolutely just scorched the earth on one of their properties. I can't quite recall the details, but yeah, I thought it was
the local fire departments that were attacked and assaulted in this recent attack were the ones that did a training exercise to burn the entire compound down.
Yeah, that was
after they lost it in bankruptcy. So the attack on the firefighters, though, in July or June was the anniversary of that bankruptcy. These Nazis love these anniversaries. And again, it's all spook related, right? Like you're saying, it glows. All of these things do. So, and they do campaigns. So we can even look back and see these different campaigns that go on. And in fact, I was just unpacking the other night on my show here on Operation GCD Sundays, the case of Dale Shackelford, which not on his face did I expect it to get so Nazi. He has direct ties to the Aryan Nations. His alibi in a murder case was he was with the Aryan Nations, was ex-wife and author Chuck Palahniuk of Fight Club's father were murdered.
Homeboy would go to Chuck Palahniuk was one of the architects of Burning Man as well, huh?
He's very much in the neo-Satanist, neo-process movement and lives in their operational headquarters of Portland.
That's so funny.
Of course he does.
Yeah, I'm not at all surprised.
Oh, this case with his father's murder back in '99 makes no sense. It is ridiculous, dude. It clearly involves drug trafficking, sex cult activity, and it involves all the folks that are involved. And someone said about drinking when I mentioned Idaho. It involves all the primary characters in the Idaho.For investigation, including the attorney, the same prosecuting attorney. So the Chuck Palahniuk's father allegedly meets a woman on a classifieds ad, and they've been dating for an indescribable amount of time, somewhere between 6 months to 8 months. She's from Missouri. He's from up by the Aryan Nation's compound, about 16 miles away. These are folks from the Ozarks. So we know we have this established pattern of behavior over decades from the Aryan Nation's compound to the Ozarks. So this is more of that same behavior. And again, the guy who's in prison for this murder, his alibi was he was with the Aryan Nations during the murder. So it's not like we can't have the direct connection there, right? again, on the top from the pattern of behavior is all these folks own property in Latol County and they own property in the Ozarks. Lots of attorneys, lots of kid diddlers in this case. But Fred Palinuk meets a woman on a classified ad and gets murdered at her home, and the home gets burned up. Now, the woman in the burn up home has a uterus. However, the man they convict for allegedly murdering his ex-wife, the alleged woman in the home was his ex-wife, allegedly. Again, the burn up woman in the home had a uterus. His ex-wife demonstrably had a hysterectomy. So they convicted a man for murder when the body had a uterus and his ex-wife demonstrably had a hysterectomy.
Wow.
It makes no sense, but
That's
we see
hilarious.
these same connections over time in these kind of like terror campaigns. And that one kind of sticks out, the early terror campaigns of the 2000s. Happens in May of 99.
Right.
Yeah.
So regarding the firefighter shooter in Idaho, was that actually him that pulled the trigger? Because I remember early reports saying that it was like an ambush.
Yeah, dude, it was. I
Multiple
listened to some of the
shooters.
radio traffic too. It was definitely an ambush, but there's numerous points of fire you can hear in the radio traffic when they're calling it in. It ain't shotgun fire. So the official story is he assaulted them with shotguns to kill 2 firefighters. No, that's not. I presume there's a lot more shooters. How many? I don't know, but to be quite honest with you, those Nazis are so baked into the authorities up there in that region specifically that it's hard to tell, right? So, for example, Mark Furman has been connected to that same Aryan Nations compound, according to an internal affairs investigation by the LAPD in '94, dating back to the '80s, and was friends with those folks in the order.
Wow. Of course.
So allegedly the Nicole Brown Simpson, Ron Goldman murder, despite it serving many purposes, was the initial step one in the 90s terror campaign.
My God, man.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he lives up there today, and he does a commentary for the last few years on telling folks that Brian Kohberger did it. There's seemingly a lot of Nazi Satanism related to that whole matters there, very processing kind of connections to that whole Idaho 4 stuff. But so it again, it's the same pattern of, domestic terror operations, if you ask me.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. Right. I think it's there's a reason the psychology or what is it? The concept of mind war, right? I think it's just in the psychology of victory. I think it's alive and well. There's a reason Michael Aquino was so heavily involved in sort of being a key architect in the PSYOP doctrine, and how they would sort of implement it in this operational standpoint going forward, utilizing the occult context to kind of run extraordinary misconception, alternative narratives in a way to influence public perception regarding most of these events. I think that's why the Satanic Panic was even a sort of moral hysteria being misrepresented by the mainstream media, and the Mockingbird, obviously, just in terms of the modern Mockingbird techniques that they sort of employed to bake in this notion. I just think it's the same pattern of behavior with the same group of people on the propaganda side and the perpetration side. That Dale Shackelford case, one of the witnesses and folks that they got to turn and testify against Shackelford was literally a member of that Millar family from Elohim City. Wow, that's hilarious.
It's like looking at the Orenthal James Simpson case and realizing Carl Colby, the son of CIA Director Bill Colby, is a primary witness for the state of California in the case against Orenthal James Simpson. You have to say, what's going on here, man?
Yeah,
again, a small group of folks. It's these Colby's queers, as I call them. The Michael Aquino's is part of that, and a lot of these other characters that are all connected to that Aryan Nations compound, be it Randy Weaver, be it Bo Gritz, etc.
Right.
So we see a lot of the same patterns of behavior, and again, repeating patterns of behavior on the propaganda side, because Michael Aquino's buddy, there's boss and fellow Science and Mind War author, General Paul Valle, Mr. QAnon General, was on Fox News perpetrating a lot of that QAnon nonsense.
Exactly. I know. It's again, the usual suspects, right? They continue to resurface, and it's all in this specific context. And I think it's pure manipulation. These are the mind manipulators, right? And mean, you just see the origins of Project Monarch are tied around the neck of Michael Aquino. I mean, John DeCamp himself, I think, provided just a sort of great. I just love the way he at the very least kind of describes the origins, and in that regard, I think it's very important to understand how even with Paul Benassi having extensive ties to the Aryan Nation and these white supremacist cults that were being utilized in this fashion, and it just goes to show and reinforce those very methods that of the psychology of victory, my friend. I mean, when you can't tell, again, it's like this is a reason why you have to remain forever skeptical and make sure your head is permanently on a swivel, because the goal is to make sure that you fall into the preordained outcome, and that typically involves these very much, I think, psychological conditioning factors that have been exercised for far too long. And we call it pattern recognition, but in reality, we've just kind of, I think, been able to, at the very least, manufacture an ability to, critically think through it for ourselves to the point where we don't quite, we aren't quite as led by the nose as the vast majority of the general public seems to be,
I agree with you, sir. And I mean, and again, on that same regard, kind of building upon that concept, look at the folks who have perpetrated a lot of these ideas over the years, be it Fritz Springmeier, for example, with these kind of Illuminati Satanism business. That dude's a convicted domestic Nazi terrorist who blew up buildings, robbed banks, and shot at people. And he's directly connected to the Aryan Nation's compound. Let's look at his buddy, John Todd. John Todd, the convicted kid diddler who claimed to be an ex-Satanist despite continuing to be a Satanist the entire time and diddling kids, with skirting 14 years of allegations, including losing his Thelemic Coven license there at one point, and finally getting busted for kid diddling in South Carolina in 1988. And he's connected to the Aryan Nation's compound. He was direct friends with Randy Weaver.
Wow. That's very interesting.
Small group of folks who perpetrate these ideas and then orchestrate their little tomfoolery, and it's a technical term, but I call it hood rat shit.
Yeah, very technical, very technical. I think I know. Okay, so I did want to at least address this strange pedophile academy, and then I definitely have to get out of here just because I have to do another show tonight, and I'm a little bit tired. But anyway,
I appreciate your all's time. I love tuning in on Tuesday nights. I'm usually making Muppets about this hour, so I like to. Someone's got to make the Muppets. So I like to tune in on making Muppets. But I appreciate joining y'all.
Of course, JJ. You already know, man. I absolutely love every chance I get to have a conversation with you, man. You're a wealth of knowledge. So, yeah, man.
Right back at you, sir.
We got to get something scheduled again soon for sure. And yeah, I was thinking about having you on as well, like I mentioned. So I'll reach out to you in the near future, my brother. But
yes, sir. Well, please let me know. I always enjoy a conversation. You're a man with a lot of details, and I have a great respect for that, sir. And my fellow JJ here, who keeps trying to out JJ me, look forward to our future conversation there, sir. We had a real barn burner recently here on the Fridays there, but going to come back on Fridays and have some Mormon conversations with myself and Heidi Love.
Oh,
yes,
man.
Sir. That'll be coming up soon.
Yes, sir.
That's
well,
awesome.
You gentlemen have a good evening. It's good chatting with you, and look forward to tuning in to next week's Already Dead.
Awesome, man. Appreciate
you,
dude.
See you then.
Oh, and JJ Vance, host of Operation GCD. Yeah, I'm live like 4 or 5 nights a week over there, so just check it out there. Too many details to describe at the moment, but good times.
Have a good one.
Go
brother.
check JJ out.
Yeah, dude, he's great, man. He's doing the Lord's work for sure. I definitely think that you saw that crazy Rudy Giuliani accident that happened the other day. I thought it was, dude, it was very strange timing, especially considering that he's then just after the accident happens, Trump comes out and announces that apparently he's going to be the recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I just thought it was kind of hilarious. And again, it's like, considering these sort of circumstances involved in the accident, which apparently it was August 30th, right? Just a few days ago. And essentially he's in New Hampshire, and he's involved in this motor vehicle accident where apparently prior to the incident, he's flagged down by a woman who's the victim of a domestic violence incident that just occurred. And Mayor Giuliani is immediately rendering assistance and contacts 911 apparently. And then he remains on scene until responding to the responding officers arrive to ensure her safety. And directly following this, he's on the highway and his vehicle struck from behind at a high speed. And he's then transported to a nearby trauma center where he's just been recently released after he was diagnosed with fractured vertebrae, multiple lacerations and contusions and injuries to his left arm and lower leg. And then I guess he had a business partner and medical provider who he was hanging out with earlier in the day. He had actually attended, I believe it was a minor softball game or a minor baseball game, I believe. And this individual apparently was contacted and promptly arrived at the hospital to oversee his care, and was also not only a business partner but a medical provider. And so anyway, that to me, strange timing, right? Like why would this all happen? And then Trump comes out the very next day and he announces that he's going to be the recipient of this Medal of Freedom. I believe it was very quickly. It might not have been the direct next day. Can't recall now, but still.
Real quick, Bobo wanted to come up real quick before we get out of here. Bobo, what's up?
Yo, what's up, y'all?
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Man, just another day. Walking my dog. But
Nice.
yeah, I always fuck up the flow, so like, I just figured it'd be at the rear end, just say this real fast, right?
You're too critical of yourself.
Oh man, if you ain't your worst or harshest critic, man, are you really trying? That's the way I've always looked at it, even as a kid.
I haunt myself, dude. It's the only way. It's the only way.
But yeah, man, fuck Israel, free Palestine, and keep that burner on your side, bro.
Oh man.
Hell yeah, dude.
Thank you, Bobo. And honestly, did you see Alan Dershowitz came out and he decided that he said there's no reasonable definition of genocide. Right? that even comes close to characterizing Israel's self-defense military actions in Gaza. I was like, holy shit. You got to be kidding me. But yeah, not at all surprised.
Dude, just anything to just excuse it away, right? Just anything.
Exactly. It is getting comically levels of...
What kind of coffee are you drinking, Austin?
Dude, just that dark blend, Folgers, black. That's all. I got nothing special right now, honestly. I think that's what it's called. It's basically the dark blend, but yeah. I'm trying to get awake, man. I'm tired, but rage. I got nothing but love, my friend. Work will set you free. But yeah, so the so-called
for the week.
Right. But this is what he says, right? Alan Dershowitz. The so-called experts who have claimed that Israel has committed genocide are willfully misusing that term and exploiting their claimed expertise to promote a bigoted anti-Israel agenda. No objective expert would agree with them. The time has come for a conference of unbiased experts who can objectively assess the actions of Israel and compare and contrast them to the recent and historic actions of other nations. So this is Alan Dershowitz, and I think he's going to name Michael Tracy as being pivotal in that context. Clearly, that's the next step here. Geez. It is crazy, right?
Oh,
but I did.
I can't imagine that I could, just like that man anymore, the defender of snuff and like all these other terrible things. But like, I just hate him that much more, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to see this, dude. Hold on. Let me find it. Watch this. Hey, it's everybody's favorite. Greta, the Jimmy Savile hairstyle, the Oompa Loompa. She's made it
so perfect.
It is so perfect, right? So she's out there, doing the damn thing, and we're all supposed to care still. But that picture, and there was one other picture that I had to show of.
Honestly, I kind of forgot about her.
I know, right? That good for you, honestly, but too many people haven't, unfortunately, and she still wields some sort of influence that they will exploit, I imagine, going forward.
That's wild to me because to me, when she was still a minor, it just seemed like we were watching her parents abuse her by putting her out in public,
Right.
And there's no way like she really understood what she was doing.
No.
And now she just kind of seems like she's going with emotions, like I'm not even really sure like what her purpose is.
Right.
I don't get it.
Well, did you see? No, I agree with you. I think that again, yeah, as Gerald Hall says, she's a fucking plant. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It's what they do, right? You sort of utilize this overprivileged child to make some ridiculous statement that will have political influence, and I think again it's like the progressives use her as like a ridiculous shield of some kind, as if she's legitimately worthwhile in some sense of their political agenda, I guess, or their I don't know, ideological implementation of said agenda. I'm not quite certain what they think she's going to do for their best interest, but still, these people, right? They continue to kind of. It's the only thing they know. They've been conditioned to kind of like embrace this socially engineered environment in terms of you have to worship at the feet of influential figures, right? And that is literally what Hollywood culture is, and I think that it has such a drastic impact on society at large, especially the U.S., right? To where like we fundamentally the average person can't even function at a basic level without having some sort of pop culture reference in their arsenal for every conversation, because it's so concerning to actually have an original thought, right? It's like, honestly, that's what seems.
No, you're right.
It's crazy.
It's
man.
like the people who lost their shit over Taylor Swift getting married. It's like, how sick is our society?
Right. Dude, that's so funny. Gerald Hall can't stand seeing this picture anymore. Oh man. But yeah, I'm with you.
It is disturbing, dude. It is really disturbing.
Okay, so I have one more picture for you guys then on the back of this, which is so hilarious. And again, it falls perfectly in place with Trump reacting to kind of the recycled weekend at Biden's tactic being redeployed for Trump missing 2 days in the public spotlight, which I get it. There are certain aspects of like this narrative that I guess are somewhat appealing, maybe in just the certain sense of let's just say the bandage on his hand, right? Which looked like he maybe had received medical attention, had his blood drawn, whatever, in the recent past. And then you see the other pictures, though. It looks like what CNN did to Joe Rogan during during the COVID, right? Where they're like, look at him. He looks dead. And he's like pale green. And in reality, they just put a filter on his face. It is sort of like that. But I don't know. I saw a picture going around circulating that made Trump look like he had alopecia, like he was hairless. It was kind of hilarious. And then his pigment, it was super pale at one of the pictures, but it was like this viral sensation in a certain way for like 2 days where these progressive radicals, I guess, right? That's what we're supposed to believe. It's what it looks as if happened. We're sort of like floating out this concept of, is Trump already dead? Right. And he hasn't made a public appearance in 2 days. And so basically he was asked about this in I think it was what was it, yesterday's press briefing, I believe, when he gave the statement. And I thought this was so funny because again it's him legitimately reacting to them to these allegations of him being dead. And I just think that is hilarious how much
you know what pissed me off about that, though? It's like everyone that was like talking about that, hoping for it or whatever, it's like, you motherfuckers voted for Biden. Like that dude spent half of his presidency on vacation, and when he was here, he had to have a teleprompter all the time. Like he was like Weekend at Bernie's Biden,
Biden
Weekend
shuffle,
at Biden.
dude. 100%. Hold on, I gotta
And-
find the Biden picture. It's so funny, dude.
It's
He
just
wasn't
like,
there.
right. He wasn't
He
there
was
at all.
not
And
mentally
then,
there.
so
It was
Trump-
elderly abuse at a certain point.
Oh
Trump,
yeah.
who is literally like in front of the camera almost every single day, just wasn't there for a few days. And they're like, "Oh my God, he's dead!" And it's like, shut the fuck up.
I'm telling you, man. It's so funny to me, and I gotta find the actual post that I had on during the Biden presidency, whenever Kamala took over and she was acting like, remember that huge they were outside the Air Force One essentially, and it was just out on an airstrip.
Thank you, sir.
Basically, and she was acting as if there were just so many people attending this, right, as far as attending the function itself and the campaign rally. Oh, this was it. Here it is. Hold on. Well, first of all, this I have to show you the picture. So obviously Trump's already dead, right? So now
Right.
I saw this picture of him at the press briefing. I thought it was too funny. This announcement is wild. He looks so different. I thought that's hilarious. But so I had to show that. But then this was his actual reaction from when he's asked in the press briefing. It's just too funny.
Something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that? People didn't see you for a couple days. 1.3.
What kind of reality are we living in, man? Very strange
No
times,
kidding.
right? That this is
Post-reality.
This feels like parody. This thing,
Yeah.
it honestly
it's
does.
Post truth, a
Right.
post truth world that we're in now.
Dude, I loved JD Vance's face during this, honestly, and his little rebrand and Elon distancing himself at the perfect strategic time as far as
Right.
the Epstein egg on the face of the current administration, and then deciding that while he's receiving the rebrand in the public eye with individual influencers like let's say a Candace Owens and people, even a Tucker Carlson, and then you have Elon coming out at the very exact same moment and claiming that he's no longer going to create an alternative political party. He's going to essentially support JD Vance, right? And that will be his alternative. And so again, it's like we're all supposed to be this ignorant, that we just accept this at face value when it's so clearly an attempted redirection as far as like if you what did it say? That quote of the question needs to be in the next edit. When did you find out you were dead? It is too funny, dude. JJ, was that JJ? He says it's a post-meme world, Muppet-led apocalypse. Too good. Too good. But yeah, let's watch this because it is hilarious, honestly. And it really is just truth is far stranger than fiction at this point. And it always honestly has been. And that is why, like, I don't really have fiction no longer really appeals to me except for how it reinforces reality in so many extraordinary ways. Right. And honestly, not claiming there's no value to it as some sort of distractionary measure of some kind, but still, who knows? I don't know.
Something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see you for a couple days.
No.
1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really?
You didn't see that?
I have heard it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was
Everybody
ever
laughs.
wrong with him.
Yeah.
Everybody laughs, dude. Like, honestly.
Dude, that's so funny. Like all of the things that can be said about Trump, all the bad, all the good, whatever. The one thing I love about him is he knows how to troll and meme And dude, he has got the best sense of humor ever.
Oh yeah, he can hold a room for sure. And at the very least, I agree. As far as from the beginning with Trump, I specifically appreciated that well, I didn't. I obviously I think that it's sort of what's the word when it's essentially it's counterproductive in terms of the over extraordinary reaction from the political opposition. I find that to be one of the worst parts about Trump specifically and his administrations. But although I will say that's what appeals the most to his base, I feel like more than anything it was owning the libs for quite some time, right? And and I think that understanding that obviously one side of the political spectrum sort of running roughshod over the other every 4 years is kind of the pendulum swinging that we're supposed to appreciate and can consistently pursue. But still, it's like what I appreciated most was that veil of kind of the couching things in flowery language, although it still very much occurs often in the mainstream media context, it's happening less frequently in the political context of things, just sort of these political circles of the politicians and how they kind of engage with the public. It really has seemed to escalate to a point to where, yeah, it's almost cartoonish at a certain level, but also it's almost kind of at a certain point it's refreshing because it's a little bit like,
that's so fitting though, don't you think? Because like politics is just like so fake, right? Yes. So like the fact that it's cartoonish at all, just it does totally fit. And I think that's like we come from like Obama, right? Who was just like, I'll give it to him. The man is a great orator, you know, like he knows how to give a speech. Probably doesn't know how to write them, but he knows how to deliver it, right?
Right.
And so we go from that, which was like the peak of all just like political language, right? Like it was just so great. You go back and you listen to it, and it's like he's speaking horrifying things, and it like makes you excited about it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But then now you have Trump coming in, who's just like a walking meme, you know?
Right.
So it just fits. And this is the one thing, like, I'm not a fan of Trump, but the one thing I appreciate about him more than anything, and I think this is his greatest accomplishment, is destroying the public's trust in media.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like without him, I don't think we would be as far along with the distrust in media as we are. But now, I mean, they're on the verge of collapse, and shows like this are now important. You know?
That's true, but I'm very concerned about the rise of the alternative media being just as influential, just as far as like the controlled assets at the highest level getting the upward momentum, which is all preferable in terms of the preferential treatment in the algorithm, which that is
very. Speaking about that, everyone hit the like button and then make a comment on all the videos for Austin and Jose and Jacob. Please, I swear it's just me doing that once a month at the end of the month. Y'all take care.
I appreciate it though, brother. Honestly, it does mean the world to me, and it is very vital and important, unfortunately, to kind of counteract the dystopian nature of the algorithm itself. We're at an inherent disadvantage, and that is by design. And it's all a matter of the social conditioning and engineering of the general public. And so again, it's just it's so blatant in our faces at this moment though, and that's why I'm always kind of pushing back surrounding these, in my mind, so very unuseful kind of manufactured personalities in the alternative media landscape that are serving the purpose of
conspiracy slop.
It's like, gross. I can't stand it. And it feels as if it's being strategically oversaturated by individual assets that are sort of sent to disrupt and misdirect individuals fleeing from that very death of the dying last gasp of the mainstream media. They're so desperately fleeing, but in a way where they're not yet critically, capable of thinking through where they're kind of being recorralled into a new digital gulag, which will, of course, condition them once more into embracing these unfortunate counterproductive measures once again that fall into the technocratic state. But let's play the rest of this, and then honestly, I do have to go because I have to go live with, or I have to
we're
whatever
at 2:20, so might as well wrap up after this.
Sounds good, buddy.
That there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he was, and they said there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do him for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors.
Something completely
That's
different.
too funny to me. It's just too much, honestly, at this point. I'm just, and to consider the idea that Trump is now obviously in that very same presser, I believe he was asked about the National Guard troops, right? And
Right.
he essentially said, he confirmed, right, that obviously he is definitely going to send in National Guard, to Chicago at some point soon. And essentially he doesn't have like a timetable on it, but this is the last part I wanted to show because it's interesting. It's very strange, but it's once again precedent setting.
President Trump calling out Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker ramping up the threats to send federal agents and National Guard troops to Chicago, saying this afternoon, we're going in.
We're going in.
Take your mind up on Chicago.
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in.
Well, the president pointing to gun violence in the city over Labor Day weekend. 8 people were killed, more than 50 were injured. But Pritzker pushes back, and he calls any plans to send federal officers, quote, un-American, and saying that troops don't belong on the streets of American cities and that there is no emergency in Chicago. Joining me now with more is our ABC News.
Okay, that's a bold-faced lie.
So first,
I know, right?
100%.
Like, they literally tried doing state of emergencies for gun violence. I remember when I lived there, they were fucking doing this. Fuck J.P. Pritzker's fat fucking ass. Fuck him.
The problem is, though, right? Like, on each side, they're manufacturing consent for dystopian measures to be put into place.
100%. Well,
Yes.
and that's the problem because, like, I agree. Like, we have, like, there is no place for American troops to be on American streets like that, right?
No.
Like,
Exactly.
once you turn a military inward, like, you've lost the plot, like, and you were literally living in a dystopian, like, despotic, tyrannical, authoritarian, just
Police state.
hellhole, straight
Yeah.
up. And it's just like everything that, like, early Alex Jones warned everyone about, like,
Yeah.
militarized police
I
state and
missed
shit.
that.
I miss
Yeah.
the early Alex Jones, man.
Right.
Now you
back
see
when
him up here with
conspiracies
Owen
were still
Schroyer.
conspiracies.
Yeah. Now he's just over here distracting individuals with, again, it's like, what on earth are you providing as far as value here? And,
No
and
kidding.
are you actually, holding power accountable at any real level?
Not like he
Because
used
if you
to.
aren't,
No,
if you aren't, then
not even close. The
you're
dude
wasting
just
your
looks
time.
tired,
Yeah, no, I honestly, I mean, at this point, after this Sandy Hook show trial, I was just done altogether. I was like, this confirms it all for me. The taboo, the third rail has been effectively, 100%. I would just say this was the attempted kind of die on this hill moment. And
Yeah.
now from here going forward, like, clearly we're not allowed to talk about Newtown. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly,
Right.
that's what it feels like. And that was kind of crucifying the alternative theory to Sandy Hook in the just as far as in the spotlight, right, of kind of the public consciousness, and then also reinforcing what everyone claimed to have believed, which was right, all of the sort of leftist progressive types at the time who all claimed that Alex was essentially stoking his followers to go and actually like directly, impose themselves on the families
right, and harass the family and stuff.
Yeah.
But that
Right,
was
right.
bullshit, because I remember
happened.
watching those streams.
Yep.
Like I remember the streams when he said all the things that he got in trouble for, and yeah, he never said anything to stoke anyone to go out and harass. He's never said that about anybody. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's done the opposite.
Exactly. But they got him to essentially say, okay, I'm a huge actor. Everything I do is a show. It's all kayfabe.
Right.
And yes, I did that for money. Who gives a shit?
Right.
It's like essentially that's
what other option did he have?
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're right.
I mean, whether he's telling the truth or not, like if he wanted to save his skin at all in this unjustice system, like that's what he had to say.
And that was when
Yeah,
InfoWars
sadly, that's
got
the only
bought
way.
out too, right? Wasn't it the exact same time
yeah.
InfoWars was hemorrhaging?
Well, because his assets, they were using InfoWars as a way to pay back the families, because they what is how I should know the amendment where we have a right to not having like excessive fines. I think that's the 6th or 7th.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong on that. I don't know. Someone fact check me, but like it's just crazy to me, like $1 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that was part of the show trial.
Here.
Exactly.
Now, what's crazy though is you can't say the notable Connecticut event that happened, right? Sometimes they fucking deboost channels for just saying Sandy Hook, right? But you can talk a shit ton about Las Vegas, which was, quote, supposedly the most horrific incident that ever happened. But like, hey, let's make that disappear.
They'll just ignore that. You get shut down for Sandy Hook and anything regarding past offense, do anything like that, you get shut down. But they just ignore Las Vegas. Although the interview Austin and I did about Vegas fucking blew the fuck up on my Rumble. So
dude, mine's doing really well too. I think my Vegas episode is my second highest performing episode on YouTube. I'm almost positive. And
yeah, dude.
I know, right? And I'm still we're still over here manifesting that Jake Shields appearance for the Vegas shooting. That would be fun to actually do that and attempt to do it in the Mandalay Bay. That would be amazing.
Dude, that would be so sick.
Yeah. But I legitimately have to go in a moment to do whatever this is. But can we play the rest of this? Because I do think it's important just to consider the concept alone of how this is being. I think we're being conditioned for this, sort of authoritarian police measures being implemented on the ground level, where we're all going to become far too, I would say, far too sort of willing to embrace the militarization of the police force at such an extraordinary extent. And I think this is why we should always try to shout from the rooftops when these moments are occurring in real time that no crisis is large enough for, in my mind, to sort of facilitate and justify such dystopian measures again. So that's if you haven't recognized, there's a very clear and obvious theme that is seemingly resurfacing throughout the context of this conversation, which is just precedent-setting operations to effectively condition the public to embrace dystopian measures, and that is why I think it's very important to remind everyone at every potential opportunity. And so this is kind of how I think they're going to weasel around the ability of militarizing the police and sending in the National Guard at every opportunity, and I'm sure it will only escalate from there.
Recent ruling as well from a judge in Los Angeles that found that Trump federalizing the troops in LA is unlawful. So how does that play into all of this now? Would that limit Trump's ability to go into other states with the National Guard?
Well, it certainly complicates it because clearly there will be other lawsuits that will be filed if President Trump makes good on his threat to send troops into other cities and into other states. And I think it's worth pointing out that the judge did give them an opportunity to appeal his decision. So a lot of this will likely remain in legal limbo, is my understanding of it. But it certainly does raise questions about if other judges in other areas with other jurisdictions agree with him. Is President Trump's power limited? And of course, you do have laws that say you can't use military troops in states unless they're being for law enforcement, unless they're being called up by the governor. And in the case of a state like Illinois, where the governor has said we don't need them here, then he's very limited in how he could use those troops.
And as you mentioned there, it doesn't go really into effect till September 12th. So the administration can appeal that. And as Ann is talking here, on the other side of the screen, you can certainly see Governor Pritzker there. He is addressing the media, the mayor standing right behind him about this very issue. And Ann, as we continue to discuss this, we know that particularly the administration is preparing for a surge in immigration enforcement operations in Chicago, potentially as soon as this week. What do we know about those plans?
Well, of course, the National Guard not talking about this. They're saying that they would, they can mobilize troops if the president requires it. But again, it would have to be either called up by the governor, in which case they could do some law enforcement operations. Otherwise, if they're called up by the president himself, the example is in D.C., they really are limited to just if they're called up by the president and sent into a state like California, they really are just limited to protecting federal personnel and federal property. So you really have to have the compliance and the agreement of that governor to do anything like what the president is talking about, which is helping to carry out immigration, helping to enforce immigration. I don't think that that's going to happen widespread nationwide without those governors' consent, unless, he gets the courts on board with this, which we were seeing this morning clearly is not the case.
Certainly not. And again, we're monitoring to see what Governor Pritzker says as well. Aaron Flaherty, thank you for being here with us.
All right.
That's wild, dude.
That's
wild.
I think this is all a pretext. Just feels like it to me. I don't understand why else. Obviously, leading up to these upcoming sort of midterms, I think obviously there's strategic positioning. If you're considering what is the political game being played, right? And obviously we mentioned, I think it was last week, I just was mentioning the idea of manipulating crime statistics. Right. And like chief members of like let's just say a police chief at the local level is obviously tasked with this in order to help provide this false misconception in order for political capital. Right. I think that's really the ultimate end result there. And who knows how legitimately reliable these statistical data sets are anyway, right? It's like
probably not at all.
I wouldn't think so. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And I try not to rely on them as often as possible. But yeah, it's again, man. What I think the totalitarian tiptoe is escalating into a very fast-paced walk at this point, right?
Right.
And yeah, again, if you didn't already understand that we sort of have these long-standing state-sponsored sort of sex trafficking operations using human honeypots. I mean, that should have removed the veil of naivete already as far as the power paradigm is considered. But if not, and you're still engaging at the surface level, honestly, I encourage you to dive deeper. But at the same time, just begin to sort of, I think it's important to essentially just inevitably destroy these ridiculous manufactured constructs in the psychological framework of the social engineering campaign at large, and how they utilize these personalities to ultimately sway public opinion. And so stop falling for these things. Stop putting individuals on pedestals. You better know them personally. You have to have some sort of frame of reference as far as their moral, ethical values and foundation is concerned before you can have any real, I think, a conclusion of value. And so, yeah, this is all a sort of thin veneer that they rely upon, and that is what the mind manipulators have, I think, sort of perfected over time. And so kill off these no more heroes, right? As Andy, our buddy Andy Malafarina would say, right?
Can I ask you all a question?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so something has been baking in my head for a little while, right? Especially with these National Guard guys getting called up to cities. So you know that new M7 firearm that the infantry just adopted? It shoots a 8.6 round.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be overmatch for Chinese body armor, even though the Chinese don't have body armor like that, especially for regular frontline troops. In the back of my head for a while, I'm like, this is for civilians who have body armor. Do y'all see that as well? Or is it just me being a little too paranoid?
No, I totally see it, because they're trying to also ban body armor, like that.
Oh yeah, like New Jersey and a couple other states. Yeah.
Right. Well,
it's been a goal, I believe.
California and New Jersey and a few other states, have can't remember what they call them, but basically,
in New York too,
stand your ground law. It's like the opposite, where you
required to retreat.
Yes.
Yeah, duty to retreat. Yeah. Well,
that's
so like, funny. Get the fuck out of here, dude. You're going to break into my house, and it's my responsibility to retreat while you just do whatever the fuck. No. Get out.
Oh, yeah. I finally found this.
Get to a state where you have stand your ground or castle doctrine.
Right.
There he is.
And read the laws of the state, because it changes from state to state. I'm sorry. I'm going too autistic into it. But
no, you're good, buddy. I completely agree. And this is, your former president probably would as well if he was of sound mind. I'll just take a good look at the screen here. And
you mean mister, just shoot 2 warning shots in the fucking air. That's a fucking felony in Delaware. Fucking idiot.
I know.
Sorry. It's just like literally the senator was telling people to commit a felony. And like, that's supposedly better. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going off on my guntism again.
No, but it's important, man. And they're all pretexts, and it's very important to spotlight at every chance we get. So, all right, for real though, in 16 minutes, I have to do whatever this is. So,
Bobo,
love you
guys. Got any last words?
Thank you all for creating a community. Like, normies suck.
I love you, Bobo.
I'm glad someone loves me.
Love you too, dude.
All right. I love you all. Take care. Bye.
Later on, brother. Man. All right, Jacob. Thanks for sitting in, dude. Honestly, I appreciate it.
Anytime. It was another great show. So for anyone who's curious, you can find me anywhere, Rise to Liberty, risetoliberty.com/links, pulls up my master link. And that's where you can find literally everything, every platform. But the most active platforms, Instagram, Telegram, Twitter or X, whatever. You can find my videos, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, all the places. Due to these big tech overlords, I've got to have backups for backups. So you can find me pretty much anywhere. And also you can find me here every day, or every Tuesday, every week, back in the back, pressing the 1s and 2s, and occasionally up here on stage. And there's my shout outs.
Hell yeah, Jacob. I love you, brother. I honestly do, man. And I appreciate all the conversations that we have, and especially after the shows on Tuesdays. It's always a good time, usually when we have the time to kick it for a while, and just in a relaxed, more casual way, just kind of, pick each other's brains. And I think so many individuals, like I have so many people who listen to the show, who reach out and provide me with avenues of information that are so extraordinary and valuable. And I cannot thank you guys enough for that. It means the world to me. And I do appreciate the community. And, I take no real responsibility for that. I just feel blessed and grateful for even being a part of it, obviously. And I think there are many other people who introduced me into this world and opened doors for me. And
hell yeah, dude.
Forever grateful, brother. So anyway, nothing but love to everyone. you know this. Apparently, if you're a right-wing candidate in Germany, you better be careful, because essentially there are targeted political assassinations that are being carried out effectively. And I found that very strange, statistically almost impossible, they claim. And so this is all leading up to these key state elections that are being ran, apparently. So once again, this is a pattern. We see it very, very often, far too often, honestly. And so, again, it falls under the umbrella of the strategy of tension. And so, yes, remain skeptical. Keep your head on a swivel. And I love you guys so much. And if for any reason and you have the means, definitely the best place to support me is the Patreon. And yeah, you'll get to see episode 27 of whatever this is after we drop that bad boy tomorrow. And beyond that, yeah. You know I love you, Jacob. So
yeah, love
I'll
you too,
see you
bro.
on Tuesday, man. And
love the rest of you guys in the chat. Make sure and hit the like, leave a comment on the way out, share the show, do all the fun things, and I guess we will see you guys back here next Tuesday at what is it? I know it's 7:30 Mountain. It's
9:30 p.m. Eastern time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And
there you go.
All right, guys. Have a good Tuesday night, and I'll definitely. Oh, and keep in mind that also I have. I'm definitely going on with Andy on Thursday for No More Heroes, so we'll do a live stream. I think early on in the morning. Probably talk more about the mass shooting and certain aspects. Yeah, I think it's honestly important at this moment. And then William Ramsey will be coming on at some point in the near future to talk Manchurian Candidate presentation as well. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Dude. I've got JJ's show coming up. I've got I'm going on Jason Bassler's show, the Free Thought Project. I'm going on his show.
Yeah, dude.
So
awesome.
That's gonna be some big shit. And I actually just did a live presentation, and that was recorded. So I'll be dropping that on my channel probably tomorrow or Thursday. So all about mind control and Manchurian candidates and stuff. So
I love it.
Keep an eye out for that, and make sure and go over to No Way Jose and go and check out everything he's got going on. And yeah, until next time, see you guys.
Have a good night, guys.